Once again, I always love having this guest on my show, Mr. Hollywood, Don Underwood. Don, what's going on, big man?
Man, just doing the thing, living life and trying to get through these crazy times right now.
I hear you, man. Don, I gotta ask you a question because for multiple reasons, I hold you in high regard in this sport. So when you see events like, the King of Table, when you see events like, East versus West, and you see our guys going over there representing us, what's your thought process on when you see these matches?
Well, excited. I think everybody wants to know. I think the Europeans think they're better. I think the U.S. thinks they're better. And ultimately, they have a huge advantage over us just because most of those countries pay their athletes. They
Right.
get paid to do what they do. Obviously, better than anybody, that's not the case over here. So I think if you want to get down to the brass tacks, with us being very close in competition with them and sometimes even, knocking them down pretty good, that if we had that opportunity, we would definitely be standing on top of that hill. But it's always fun. There's some great guys, and I love watching it. I love making the doubters know.
Sunday night. And, back in the old school Arm Wars days, things were different, but you couldn't say Arm Wars without having, Michael Todd, yourself, Jeff Hale, just to name it, Ryan Clark, just from a United States standpoint. Now we got this new version of it and stuff. Since you were a staple in the Arm Wars, what are your thoughts about how it's going now as far as production and what it all has to offer?
I like the production now better than even the old stuff. I think it's more personal. I think the way Neil breaks it down, I'm super impressed with the production. I definitely like that. He's got control of that thing. It also gives an opportunity for the spectator to know a little bit more about the athlete and kind of get more personal, kind of like Game of Arms did, build up the characters before the matches, and love how it is. Arm wrestling is that. It's not tournament arm wrestling. In order for it to be successful, I've always said,
right,
you got to build the matches, build it up, do exactly what Neil's doing. I think he's got the formula. I think he always has. So I like it. I do.
Hopefully, fingers crossed, we can see you on that version, because if what they're doing is correct now, we're trying to focus more on the actual puller. You're right for it. You are the one for that. I think by you being Hollywood and that persona you carried back in the early Arm Wars days, they weren't ready to kind of do what they're doing now. Now it's like, oh, okay, 12 years later, you guys want to do this now, where you already had it. You were the first to break the ice, the glass ceiling, if you may, when it came to that. And now I hope, maybe you'll get that, that spot again, hopefully.
Yeah, I think I will. Fact is you're still seeing a comeback version of me. I'm going through 2 hip surgeries. I got a shoulder and a bicep repair coming up. And I have not got to just specifically train. Every time I start training, I'm running off to another tournament, commentating or whatever the case being, to where I have to step away from the table and practice to gain and get back to that high level or elite status. And it will be there. I'm in these matches.
Right.
You hear all these doubters and talking, oh, Don's done. But you got to understand, I'm pulling top 10 arm wrestlers in the country, and I'm in the match and even winning from time to time. I've got breathing issues. I've got a lot of things that I'm trying to work around and learn how to, overcome in order to be great again. But, just like the Wayne match, if you look at round 1, he'll tell you he had the elbow foul just to get away from me.
Yeah.
That says a lot right there, and I'm a fraction of what I'm going to be. But again, I'm 50 now, best in the world. So
right.
Love 50, feel great. Super excited about the next, 10, 15 years. And if I happen to venture onto Arm War stage, then yeah, I look forward to the opportunity. I think it takes somebody like yourself, somebody like myself that is a little more charismatic, has something to say, and you don't have to keep doing take after take.
Right.
That's what I prided myself with the Arm Wars crew was I was a one take. Wow. To see the producers look at each other and go, well, don't have to say, let's do that again. Let's do that again. That really reflects on the character and the person being real. and I had a lot of fun. Neil gave me a lot of creative control of what I did.
Right.
A lot of my matches should have never been on. You know, when I flash pin somebody 3 in a row, nobody wants to see that. They want to see, and that's what Arm Wars is known for, is that competition.
Right.
But I made it like the Yoshi Kanai match where I tore his bicep off his arm. Should have never made TV. But,
right.
You know, the goofy promos and the way that I responded and the intensity, why wouldn't you put that on there? It's brilliant, you know?
Yeah.
So we need some more people like that. Young people, Austin Jaggers, I think, is really good about characterizing himself and working the crowd.
Yes.
He understands that he's got a lot of growth. You know, he does have a lot of growth, and I'm going to give him a lot of good advice. There's some things I need to chat with him about. I look forward to seeing him this weekend in Tulsa, matter of fact.
Yeah.
He's got some stuff coming up with he might get educated this weekend. If he stands up in this match, I'd be real impressed. But yeah, that's the type of people, yourself, myself, people that really want to get in there and work the crowd. Pro wrestling style, you know, that's what I always
Yes. I have that background. I mean, I didn't do what you did, but I grew up in the, you know, the era of the, you know, Hogan Flair and all that kind of stuff. And I was loving it. But here's a question, because you got that event coming up in Oklahoma this coming weekend, and it's taking place on the was it single A or triple A baseball stadium?
Yeah, something like that. One of them now. So this is what I understand. The super matches are going to be in a restaurant that's in the stadium.
Yes.
And then the main focus match will be at home plate. So it's one match at home plate. The rest are actually in the stadium, which is still great. I'm still a little bit blind on how it's going to go and what my part's going to play in. I know Matt's going to be mic'd up as a referee, and even mentioned to me, I'm going to try to hype. And I said, Mike or Matt, you can't do that. You either referee or you do, you know, something else in order for it to look right. Otherwise, it's just going to get sloppy and nobody's going to know what's going on. So I think I'm going to MC that match, and then Matt will take control of the table, and I think that'll look real good. And then we're trying to figure out if I'm going to, how even Saturday's going to work. I know they're running a live stream. I'm not a fan of literally talking through a whole tournament, especially about people I don't know. And unfortunately, you know as well as I do, Jody, when you get to a tournament, 80% of those guys, we don't know who they are.
Right.
And not that they're not impressive, but it's hard to talk about somebody when you don't know who you're talking about. So I like to focus on the super matches and stuff like that. So.
I'm glad you brought that up, because you and I got together in Arizona. Now, we did two shows. So we did the tournament. Yeah, we did. That's right. We did the tournament show. And like you said, it was kind of difficult when you don't know some of the competitors, right? But we winged it, and I thought we crushed it. I didn't want to toot our own horn, but toot. We sat there and we crushed it. Now, when it came time for the main event, you know, the super matches, I think that's when you and I flourished, because we knew who the pullers were. We knew what they brought to the table. We knew their accolades and all that kind of stuff. And I thought, you know, that, you know what? There's something there that, you know, the chemistry that we got, I thought it was awesome, because now, you know, I'm like going, okay, when's the next one? When's the next one? So I need to get a hold of Arm Sport Entertainment and go, hey, Donnie and I crushed it. When's the next one? Because sometimes you got to have two people. You can smack anybody together and say, hey, can you commentate that? But it takes a special two people to have that kind of chemistry. And like I said, this was the first time you and I did something, and it just clicked and worked. And I wanted to say, if I never told you that, but I was so thrilled that I got to go side by side with you and call those matches. I thought, you know, honestly, and it was the first time I ever did that. So the crowd was so loud, I had to yell, because I didn't think the people on the live feed can hear me, but they heard me perfectly. So.
No, it was a great collaboration. You know, I've told you this before, though, Jody. I mean, with what you do, it makes you comfortable, and it's really simple. Talking to the people without being in front of somebody is very difficult. You don't know what direction to go. You know, I don't know. Some people, it just come natural. I sat down at Mike's and it worked. And, you know, I don't know if it's just because, like you said, you know everybody, the accolades and who they are, but it's easy to talk about something you're passionate about. And we're both very passionate about this. Not that other people aren't, but to explain something that, you know, is blind to a lot of people is hard to do. And I feel like we got a formula. Now, that being said, I know Tim's bringing in what he's calling an international group of commentators in Uncle John and Aussie arm wrestler, which I still don't understand because they're speaking English too, so I'm a little bit confused.
Yeah, just yeah.
You're talking; those guys are super bright when it comes to especially the Europeans. So I know that there's going to be. I'm assuming there's going to be some Europeans there, so that'll help kind of cross the bridge there. But yeah, I mean, I'm always loving someone to come in and do stuff with it. Those two guys are great ambassadors for the sport. So more the merrier. Come on in and let's have a good time.
Now, do you think with the pay-per-views going on now and with the commentary, do you think that's the future now going forward in the sport?
Well, I think at some point in time it will be. I think there a couple people's on the right track. There's going to be a lot of people trying to mimic great, and
right.
Tim really had that formula. Everything about his was just A plus. I think Michael Todd's is going to equally be as well. Both of them have a really good thing going, and I enjoy. I'm not going to just stop doing what I do. Tim takes extremely good care of me, and so does Michael. So I would never let one side or another sway my decision. You had a WAL versus UAL clash of titans at one point in time where they literally said, hey, you're not allowed to go to this tournament. If you do, we're going to fine you, or they'll pay athletes not to go. And I'm not interested. That's one of the reasons I stopped pulling WAL to start with, is because I'm not going to have anybody tell me where I can and can't go. I've been doing this 30 plus years. I'm going to go where I want to go,
Yeah.
And I want to be able to do what I do, and I want people to know us, not only as great arm wrestlers, but the face of the sport and who talks about it. And I'm excited about the journey that I'm about to take, especially, with you. I couldn't think of a better guy to sit with, and you were very wise and smart to the sport. You know the individuals. And, man, yeah, let's get it. I'm excited.
That's what it's all about. And like I said before, it's always nice to, we're pullers in heart, but it's always nice that, what else does Don bring? Play-by-play, MC, you can do that kind of stuff. I'm a fellow arm wrestler. What do I bring? Podcast show, play-by-play. I think when you start having these athletes that can do more than just put it all on the line on the table, it brings extra, emphasis. So again, here you go. In July, you'll be at the Michael Todd pay-per-view, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so that it's like, okay, hey, I was at the last one. I know we did play-by-play. I'm sure every time you have a pay-per-view that, the next one they have is going to be better than the last one, and so on and so on. So I assure you, especially with the names coming in, Michael Todd's pulling John Brzezinski, I'm sorry, he's pulling Todd Hutchings. Let me correct that.
Correct.
John Brzezinski is pulling Corey West, and Corey looked pretty, dominant this past weekend. I know I was talking with SB, and, he wasn't all 100%, but still, Corey did what he had to do.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think that every one of us are going to have an excuse of some sort because we all believe that we're better than we are at any given point.
Right.
Ryan's a proven world elite wrestler.
Yep.
Corey just did what he was supposed to do. Ryan could easily come back and make a difference another day. The problem with that is Corey's 29 or 30 years old. He's a kid, and he's just getting started. That's a scary human being. I think everybody in the sport better pay attention because he is our LeVon, if you will.
Yeah.
And potentially will be the guy that dethrones him, I think. So he's just a massive, massive human being. On top of that, he's a humble, genuinely great guy. I've been hearing, I watch a lot of little things. I love hearing about arm wrestling and certain people talking. And I've seen that there was a little heat between him and Robbie Burnett, which I don't really get.
Yeah, it was a situation. I'd actually talked to Robbie and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to air out the laundry on social media, but I talked to him, and it was unfortunate, because I was looking forward to Robbie pulling that event, and it got to a point where he got snatched from the card, which is unfortunate. But be that as it may, We have a comment here in the chat. It says Justin Green says, yeah, he UAL had him locked up for a minute, and it made him lose his drive. And so when you get locked up in contracts, and when they say you can't do this, you can't do that, and all that kind of stuff, it does. And it's like, if you're going to lock somebody up in a contract, if you're going to be exclusive to a brand or a certain organization or a league, then I'm there for a reason. Call me up. And I'll use Ryan Espy for an example. He's my co-host on the Can-Am Connection. We do on Monday mornings. And he had a 2-year contract with WAL. He only pulled one match.
Right.
And that was with Jerry Catterett. I'm like, well, how are they going to contract you, but yet they only called you one time? And it's like, what's going on with that? I don't understand that, being that you've been in contracts before, maybe you can kind of shed some light on your experiences. I know everyone's different, but kind of shed some light on that.
Well, contracts in the sport of arm wrestling are going to have to be lucrative in order for us to even want one.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody thinks Travis was the one that got the big contract, and it seems to make you think that you're a pro arm wrestler, and if you don't have a 40-hour-a-week job, which most of us do, I mean, and a contract makes sense, great.
Right.
I expect a weekly or monthly paycheck to be under contract, especially exclusive. And like you said, we're hearing it multiple times. I'm under contract, but I'd never get called, and I can't go arm wrestle somewhere else.
Right.
That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So, I mean, if you're the guy writing the contracts and you're going to do it that way, I don't think you're going to get – eventually everybody's going to get tired of it. We want arm wrestle. We want arm wrestle as much as we want. And if you want to pay me not to arm wrestle somewhere else, that's fine, but it's going to be a number that I like.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that's where they were failing. He tried, but again, you got to pay somebody enough for them not to arm wrestle. That's what we love to do. It's a freaking hobby, man.
Well, yeah. Not only that, but it's like you said it yourself. You're an athlete. We're all athletes here, and yet, some way, somehow, we as athletes caught the eye of somebody. So if you're catching our eye or whatever, there's something that you want us. I don't think the intent was to go around and start, hey, I want you. Now you do what I say and not pull. I don't think that was the intent, but more and more times, more often times than not, you could talk to a lot of people. Oh yeah, I was under contract with UAL, only pulled a couple matches, but that's pretty much how it was. So maybe some of these organizations, what Wall did with Steve Kaplan, it worked for some, but not for others, So hopefully when this goes around, and even like not Arm Wars, but even Game of Arms, you were a big part of that, Was it a contract situation where, okay, I signed to that, but yet at least you got the pull where like Wall, oh yeah, I did that, but they told me I couldn't do this. Can you explain the difference between that situation?
Well, Game of Arms was just for the series. I mean, they never stopped us from doing anything. We pulled whenever we wanted, wherever we wanted. Our obligation was to be where we were supposed to be during the filming process,
right?
And not to talk about certain things. I mean, there was a gag order on some stuff, but I mean, as well it should be. You don't want to give up, what's going on. That's where spoilers just ruin things. But WAL specifically said, "Here, sign here. Now you're an athlete. We own the right to your name, your likeness. You can't pull anywhere else."
Right.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, we're only going to use Michael, Todd, Jerry, and Devin, and Dave, and Todd, and okay. Well,
right.
There's 2,000 or 3,000 of us. You're using 10 or 12 or 15 or even 20 people. It's not working out, man. So,
right.
Yeah, no, I think arm wrestling will evolve around that, and if Wall wants to come back, or if they do come back, good for them. But they've got to be more lenient, or at least the contracts have to be a little more open to do, other things, unless you're, one of the extreme elite athletes and then you got to pay them, and I'm just not sure that's going to happen.
Right. We got a comment in the chat from Preacher Arm Wrestling. He goes, with East vs. West, Arm Wars, King of the Table, Monster Factory, and all these big tournaments like Tim Arm Sports Entertainment is putting on, then why would you sign a contract for Wall? No reason for it. And so I get that, but I'm glad you asked that, Preacher, because this is going to segue to my next question. And Don, I really, really, really need your opinion on that. With those events that Preacher just explained, is going to bring all the big names. Okay. So all the Michaels, Tadzilla, Brzezinks, Devins of the world, Chappies, and so on, with those guys going to those organizations and competing, that leaves the door open for all the guys that probably should have been getting their name out there. And I think it's a good thing because I've always said this. Now, all those guys I just mentioned, I love them to death, big fans of them. But after a while, you know, you can only recycle the same matches over and over again before it starts losing its luster, I think, you know. So with those guys competing over there across the pond, all that kind of big stuff, now it segues and say, hey, now we got a new crop of people, bring them this way. Like you said, the Mikas, the Austin Jaggers of the world, list goes on and on. Now guys like Wayne Withers get their name in the spotlight, Brendan L. Sessers, Andre Sharkovich, Pablo, list goes on and on. Jason Merlot, I can go all day, but you see what I'm saying. So do you think that's a good thing that the big names are going that way to make room for some of the guys that probably should be on there, but they couldn't? Your thoughts?
Well, I do, and I think what's happening is that the small percentage, 2% elites that are running off are not getting what they're expecting to get. I think the guys that are running the tournament to tournament, like all the names that you mentioned, they're getting a lot more spotlight and more people paying attention to them because they're everywhere on social media, not onto the single pay-per-view that you can't access, and in their rights, they will be the elites. You're going to have a very small percentage that's going to be doing their own thing, but the guys that are out there working, that are the pile, everybody that you mentioned, yeah, they're going to, in their own rights, will be, gaining fans, by the tournament, by what they're doing. And, back to the contracts, I think that Arm Sports Entertainment has a really good formula. They're contracting per event. They're not holding anybody. I mean, anybody's accessible.
Right.
What they need to realize is they need to stop asking for the moon. You're an arm wrestler. Okay?
Right.
We want to see certain matches, but we're not going to pay $3, $4, $5, $10 grand for you to show up and arm wrestle. We're going to see it. I mean, you're going to, or you're never going to have the match, but you should want it.
Yes.
I've been doing this 30 years, and all of a sudden, these 30-year-old people think that they need $3 to $5 grand because they're winning a few arm wrestling matches to show up and pull at your event.
Right.
Guys, I've done the road work. I've not even asked. I mean, I donated every bit of what was coming to me to Arm Sport Entertainment at the last one. I was owed a good chunk of money.
Right.
Because I'm not going to watch somebody sit and fail or lose when they work that hard for us.
Yes.
So when we're winning, we're getting. When we're losing, we're not. And that's the thing where some of these guys are going to find that they're going to end up failing and not getting calls. Everybody wants a good competition where you can get myself and Austin or Wayne and you know the people. Guys, you know what I'm talking about. For a reason, hey, get a plane ticket, hotel, here's a little purse. Come out. You don't have to spend your own money, but you get to do what you want to do. But they're getting beside themselves. They think that they're somebody they're not.
Heck,
I'm just telling you, this is arm wrestling. This ain't NBA or NFL. We don't have that kind of money.
Right. It's not like Mark Cuban, owns a league and we're going to run with it, use his money. But I'll say this.
Well, we've seen what happens with billionaires that own the money in this sport. They're not giving it away.
No, because they want some kind of kickback at some point, And here's the thing, and I'm going to say this, and it'll make sense. I'm going to say out there, once our show is done, I'm going to get on Facebook. I'm going to just hashtag give them a chance. What I'm saying, you give somebody a chance and they take the ball and run with it. The number one guy that fits that moniker right now is Paul Lynn. Give him a chance. You saw him pull Ron Bath, got the victory. You saw him just past weekend go to East versus West, got the win. Give him a chance, right? Give him a chance because then once you put the on the line, you start getting looks. When he beat Ron Bath, now I don't think anybody outside of Pennsylvania probably had him winning, but when he got that victory, it sent shockwaves through the arm wrestling community. You were there firsthand. What were your thoughts when you saw that happen?
I was super impressed with the guy, and then he took off on me, and God, he's for real. Like I said, because I mean, you see me lose, but I'm still just about that far off of all these dudes. And I strapped up to him and sat down, and Paul hit me. He didn't bury me in the pad, but it took. Oh my God, man, that dude he's something else, man. That's a grown ass man grabbing you right there.
Yeah, and it's like he's only been what, a few years?
5-6 years, but that guy's an athlete too. That's like going back to Austin, not to toot his horn. I like the kid, but you know, he's one of those guys. He's cocky. He's an athlete.
Right.
That's what it takes. That's what it's going to take. Is he's with a little bit of arrogance, but he's still kind and he's got, you know. Man, I don't know. It's going to take guys like that. That's what's going to change us. And when these guys figure out that, hey, I can't play football no more, but I can still go fuck somebody else up on the table.
Yeah.
Violence on the table is what they're looking for, man. And those athletes are going to come around. In my opinion, I love what Tim's doing with the Armed Sport Entertainment. And I think the guys that are winning these tournaments in impressive fashion, like you mentioned, what's his name? Mika?
Yeah.
Super good dude. What's that? Is it Oleg? That little guy that smacked Giannis?
Yeah, Oleg Missouri. Yeah.
Those are the guys that I want to watch. If you see a tournament and you see somebody that's making noise and impressive, man, say something, because that's the next guys that are going to be on those pay-per-view cards or elite cards, and that's where you find them, man.
Well, leaked out.
Yeah, they're impressive.
Well, Mika has now. He put it out there. He's going to be on the next Arm Wars, so now his name is there. So now all he has to do is just train, stay healthy, and not get hurt. You know.
What about that Hispanic group that came from like Tijuana and LA area? They were good sized boys, 2'4". Man, they were working.
And you don't hear nothing about it. And that's the thing I'm trying to say. You know, we need to open more doors like that so we can, you know, Tim knows those guys because he lives in that area. They travel up to Arizona for Arizona tournament and go back down. But I'm telling you, those guys are badass. And I wished people would, you know, shine some light on those guys, because I'm telling you, they brought it. I was like super impressed, you know?
Yeah, and they made the tournament exciting to watch, which normally, to me, tournaments ready to go. I mean, there were some battles at that. I'm going to tell you right now, guys, if you can make it out to one of Tim's events, you're going to see an extremely high talent pool and just an all-around good event, man.
Yes.
That guy's good things, man. I hope he finds success with it. I love being part of his deal. He's a good dude.
Yes. So shifting gears, I know you said you got some surgeries coming up soon, but do we expect to see Hollywood at the IFA Nationals next month in Irving, Texas?
You know, I got to say no. I'm not a fan of the rules.
Right.
Okay? Listen, when you travel all that way, and just for instance, again, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. You know, Sean seems to be the one in the spotlight. It ain't his fault. He's good at calling what he's told to do, the rules.
Right.
And unfortunately, you're going to get less and less people interested. And this is just my opinion, but when the referees are delegating, especially the money matches, there's not a chance in hell I'd ever travel somewhere and say, oh, yeah, if I foul out, you get all this cash. Man, screw that. We're going to have a winner. Pin to win.
Yep.
Bottom line. And that's where I feel like the IA, it's just, I'm not interested in little tiny bobbles where you think you see. And I've got a different opinion. We got video here, and I'm watching these guys call fouls, and you can't see them. That's a problem.
Right.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not gonna be involved in anything like that.
Yeah.
I may come hang out, you know. It's not that I'm just not gonna spend my money on something that, somebody I disagree with tells me I lose. That's just not the way arm wrestling used to be at all.
Well, yeah, but yeah, in your situation, though, you've been there and done that, though. Hey, you've been there and done that. You did the tournaments. You've been to WAF. You did the Arm Wars. Now it's like, you know what? I'm at a point now in my career where I kind of been there and done that. Let the other guys go ahead and get their feet wet in that. I'm on to this where it's like, you know what? It's one-on-one, because honestly, you can have all the teammates you want, all the training partners, all that kind of stuff. But when it comes down to it, it's going to be you and your opponent on the table. So you can only rely on yourself. You and I can train together. Let's just say I moved to Independence, Missouri, and all of a sudden now we're training partners. You could talk me up, but when I get on that table, you can only do so much from there, because I can't be on the table. I can say, hey, get that riser up and slide your elbow forward. You can tell me that. But when the ref says go, it's just me and my opponent. You can only sit there and watch and hey, watch that elbow, and hey, straighten your shoulder out. You can help your teammate, but at the end of the day, it's one-on-one. That's what it's all about. So I think, and I don't want to step on your toes, but I think for you, you've kind of been there, done that. This is where I'm at now. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't want to tournament arm wrestle. First of all, physically, it's hard for me to do with my hips and the shoulders the way they are in the back. Sitting around at a 7, 8, 10-hour tournament is just no fun for anybody unless you're a new arm wrestler. You're just constantly, intrigued and watching and learning. And yeah, that is kind of the kindergarten of arm wrestling, if you ask me. But it's very necessary. And to be fair, the IAF is going to keep people 100% honest. I mean, you're going to see a lot more people getting tired of fouling out. They're going to work on keeping their elbow down, which I have over the last, when I came back, was elbow, elbow, elbow. And you see me and Wayne Withers, and you don't see him elbow fouling, but guess who elbow fouled? So,
right.
But he had to in order to even get into that.
He knows. He knows. We talked.
Just everybody out there that thinks I'm a bum, go ask Mr. Withers, and that's a bad dude right there. And I'll be back, like I said. But yeah, tournaments, baby steps, and learning. But where the money is, if there's ever any, is exactly what Tim and Mike's doing. And you got to have guys like you and I, and then your podcast guys, what you're doing as well. Those are all the things that's going to make this. And then social. I believe this with all my heart, that arm wrestling is going to be one of the most popular sports in the world, and it's going to be all social media platform.
Right. And not to sit there and I'm not trying to stroke nobody's ego and that kind of stuff, but you said something, and it's something popped in my mind. They say people like to write you off, and my thing, sometimes I find myself defending you a lot, because I think when people see the old Don Underwood, that okay, we want to see that version. You guys, you got to realize, we're not getting any younger. We do endure injuries. Okay. And then that's just the facts of life of the sport. When you've been pulling for, like yourself, 30 plus years, there's no way you're going to pull 30 plus years at the highest level and think you're going to not have any kind of injuries, and I think people need to realize that. I think it's always the, maybe the newer ones that come in the sport that have been around a few years, maybe 5 at the most, that are saying, oh yeah, Don's washed up. I'm like, they see all the old clips. I'm like, Don was probably healthier back then, and like I said, it's just like, dude, we're not getting any younger. You said you have hip replacement surgery, you got shoulder issues, bicep issues. I don't think people understand that, when you've been doing this a long time, those injuries will come. And so, yeah, we all in our minds would like to get back to that, but sometimes you got to deal with the cards that's handed to you. Is there any truth to that?
Well, let me give you an example.
Okay.
If you're a weightlifter, okay, and you're the best in the world at it, okay, I'll take 5 years off and not do anything.
Right.
Okay. How long is it going to take you to get back to peak? Okay. First of all, you have to train consistently to get to a high competitive level. But in this sport, you can train and you have to take time off to go to tournaments. So I've just kind of wanted to break back into the sport and show everybody I'm here. I haven't had a consistent training regimen.
Right.
This little bit of games that I've had, or just a few practices, knocking the dust off. Well, now, if you look at me, I'm not scheduled for nothing other than commentating. It's tear down, build, and train like I used to. I trained for 4 or 5 years straight in order to be the elite guy that I was.
Right.
Now it's time. I will be training and healing, and then all of a sudden I'm going to show up and grab a hold of somebody, and oh shit, now they'll understand eventually.
Right.
I believe that guys 45 to 65 are the strongest guys in the world if they're consistently arm wrestling.
Yeah.
You don't want your grandpa to grab you. That's a grown ass man. You get picked up. It's a different kind of strength, and that's the cool thing about this sport, man. We can do this until we can't.
Right. And that's the thing. And so, people need to realize, and I guess for those naysayers, you got to walk in people's shoes to understand, like what you're talking about, what I'm talking about. You got to walk in our shoes, man, because, you've been there, done that. I looked up to guys like you and, Cobra Rose, and the list goes on and on. I'm something like, I want to do that. I want to get on Arm Wars one of these days, and that's, for me, that's a bucket list. And hopefully one of these days I can get on there, because I can bring the thunder, no pun intended, but I can bring the thunder, and all that kind of stuff. It's just,
Well, that's what it takes, Jody. And Neil will be the first one to tell you. It's not about who you are, because nobody knows you anyway.
Right.
It's about the matchup and the character involved in those. You get somebody hyped up. Look at Gennady, the way that I don't know him. I want to watch that crazy son of a bitch because I love his intensity.
Right.
I don't want to see somebody that gets up and arm wrestles and walks away from the table. There's no fun in that. It's like, I don't care how elite you are. Listen, Dave Chafee was on Game of Arms Season 1.
Yep.
Okay? Dave Chafee was not on Game of Arms Season 2, and he won Game of Arms.
Yeah.
Want to know why? Love you, Dave, but you know as well as I do back then, you didn't make any noise.
Right.
You didn't. Easy money. And, I coached Dave to do a lot of the stuff. Go up and make some noise. You're only as good as what people want to see. Winning is one thing, but entertaining is another. And you have to have an entertaining sport, or this has to be an entertaining sport in order for it to be successful. And it's becoming more that.
Yes. And I agree.
Guys like, the young guys that are screaming and hollering at Gennady's, man, that's the shit.
Right.
So that's what people are paying attention to. What's all that? What's that dude screaming like that for?
Yeah. So like with Mika, right? So Mika gets on there, King of the California 2. And yeah, and he's just talking trash and stuff. I'm thinking, okay, well, guess what? He's on Onwards coming up,
And that guy come up and listen, I didn't know Mika. And I mean, yeah, he probably knows me. And that's one of the things that sometimes I forget is that, so many people know who I am because of, the programs that I've been on, the things I've done. And, he came up to me and I didn't know him. I said something to him and he just came up and gave me the biggest hug. What a sweetheart, man. But yet the guy screaming in intensity and fire. That is what it takes to be known along with winning. You can't be that loud ass. What's our buddy out there that works with Tim doing all this?
Oh yeah, I mean the elbow, and I'm like that guy. He showed me some video. I'm like going, he had picked me up from the airport, and he's
yes, he wants to be that guy. And I told him, I said, listen, you can be that guy, but you can't be that guy. This ain't. I also started winning. When you're doing the things and you see the intention like Gennady's, you go, man, I just want to watch that dude because that's amazing. You can see the pride. You can see what he wants to do and who he is by the way he reacts. And you can't make it up. Neil always told me, don't be a character that you're not.
Right.
You can't make somebody entertaining. And he's right. You either are or you aren't. But take what you have and use it wherever your intensity is or your celebration. Do it to the best of what you can do. And you will be great.
Your buddy just got on. He said, hello, Don. Hello, Jody. The champ is here. Take a wild guess who that is.
Oh, Lord. God, I don't know who that is.
His name is Wayne Withers.
Wayne, the champ is here. He's so good. Wayne, you're the champ.
Yeah.
Wayne ain't gonna win an energetic contest, that's for sure.
But this sport does have something to offer because you do have those guys that just want to arm wrestle. I got that.
Well, the difference is Wayne don't have to because he is winning and he is. I love how he does it, and that's what I'm talking about. Be you and be great at you. And that's what it takes, man. Wayne wears his hat, does little things different, super humble. He's the giant that he is, and that's a good dude, man. I enjoy spending time with him.
You're gonna have the lunchbox guys, and this is no disrespect to the people I'm saying that, but the lunchbox guys, they go in, clock in, whip some ass, clock out, go home. Those are the Dave Chafees, Wayne Withers, Russ Schraders, if you may. List goes, Paul Stevens. List goes on and on. Those are the guys that clock in. I'm gonna take you down. Boom, good match. I'm going home. Me and the wife are going back to the hotel. Whatever. Those are the guys, that just clock in, clock out, which is good because this sport offers any kind of avenue, right? Then you got the guys who want to, you and I we can talk wrestling. So when I say you got the heels, right? Okay, you can play the heel. Travis can play the heel. Devin's now supposed to be the heel, or whatever the case may be. Michael Cilieris on Game of Arms, he was a heel character. Tom Nelson can be a heel character. So you got there's room for those kind of guys too, or a face of the
I love all those guys. Absolutely great examples of what entertainment is. And Tom was he didn't know fucking what he was doing, that ignorant, crazy bastard. Love you to death. You are one fucking hillbilly motherfucker, I'll tell you.
Right.
You know?
And you need those kind of the yin and yang, because, Travis was running his mouth and, all the viewers, oh, man, how Travis shuts him up. And then when he met Dave, it was like, that's what got it. It was like the heel and the face. You got the quiet, well-mannered Chafee. And Travis just was running his mouth. They were like, oh, screw that. That should have been for the top row belt and blah, 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 but that's neither here nor there. But, you need those kind of storylines. Hell, you and I have been watching wrestling for decades. You need those kind of storylines to keep people interested, right? You need that. So when it was you and Travis, what was the thing? You were pulling for the belt. Y'all got history together. You were pulling for the belt. That's what drew everybody in. Oh, man, well, Don got the belt. What's going on? Travis wants the belt, that kind of stuff. That's what makes the arm wrestling where it's going to be as far as from an entertainment standpoint. You need that kind of stuff. Do you agree?
Well, of course, entertainment sells no matter what. I mean, it's sex or violence. Everything else is just arbitrary. I mean, it's just, we want to see something. If you hear a bunch of noise in a crowd, you think there's a fight, you're going to go to it.
Right.
People, they want to see action. That's what we're drawn to. And, I understand. I don't know if Game of Arms is coming back. Rumor is that it is. And I don't know who's got it. Rumor is Kaplan's controlling the athletes. I mean, that's fine. But that show was a great example of what arm wrestling can be. And I hope that it, continues the journey. My face and name's all over that. So I hope they continue the same, premise of the athletes. And there's a lot of entertaining people out there. There's a lot of stories to be told. And
yes.
If they do it right, they can have a lot of success with that. So I'm anxious to see how that plays out. So.
Oh, I'm excited too. Yes, I am. Well, Don, I'm gonna have to cut you loose because I know you got a lot of work to do, so do I and stuff. But as always, my man, I think now you are the actual athlete that's been on my show the most now with this interview.
Well, hey, anytime, I love shooting the shit with you. And I think people understand. We may break it down a little bit, but listen, man, I can't wait to get back on the table with you and commentate with you and be part of something, this new journey that we got, man. I think we'll steal the show everywhere we're at. So I look forward to it, buddy. Be safe.
I am, man. My friend, I want to say thank you for joining me on the show, man. Take care. We'll keep in touch, my man. Yes. I won't do the double one. I'll just do the single one.
That's it. You got it.
Take care, my friend.
Bye-bye.
Hey. So that was Don Underwood. I'm telling you right now, yeah, people want to write him off, but you got to realize, and like I said before, when you've been in the sport 30 plus years, there are going to be times you're going to endure injuries. I've been in this sport since 2011. I've had shoulder surgery, tendonitis now. So, I'm nothing compared to like hip replacement or arm breaks or bicep tears. I'm not comparing my little knickknacks to those major injuries. But what I'm saying is that it's going to happen. And sometimes injuries cause you to pull differently. It causes you to create or pull a different way, a different style. So I think people need to go ahead and really understand that kind of stuff, okay? That's all I'm trying to say. I'm always backing up Don because Don's my boy and stuff. So, again, y'all, hey, thank you for joining me on this terrific Tuesday. I hope everybody's treating you right, treat each other right. And as always, everybody, love one another. I know I do because I'm telling you right now, it is awesome to be a part of the sport now. We only got something to look forward to. So, again, as always, see ya when I see ya. Y'all be good to each other.